Hello there, my friends. How are you? I hope you are having the most fabulous day wherever it is that you find yourself. In today's conversation, we're going to talk about how to stop overthinking and finally start trusting yourself. Now, I know for the women that I'm connected to, most of the people that I think will watch this, overthinking has been a big block for you in your forward progress. Overthinking, procrastinating, perfectionism, self-doubt, all of these things are the mental blocks that are getting in the way of you being able to achieve the extraordinary quality of life that I know you want to achieve. And the reason why these are so sneaky is because we think that they're just a part of our identity. We think that that's just the way that we are. We kind of attach these as personality traits and ways of being that are just part of our DNA. And that's just not the case. And I want this conversation to really give you some actionable tools to be able to start breaking out of some of these patterns, realizing that they're just habitual ways of being that you've created, but that you can change them, you can shift them, and you can move forward without them continuing to block you. For those of you that don't know me super well, my name is Sabrina Militello. I am a coach and owner of Empower Her Coaching. And this is what I do. We talk about the real things. We talk about some of the hard things in our Coaching Corner conversations to really help you take the power back in your forward progress, in the success story that you're writing for yourself, so that you can make the progress that you want to make. All right, I've got some notes here because I want to keep on point. I'm going to share with you some teaching from one of my long distance mentors, Brendan Burchard, kind of shared this specific framework for defining what success looks like for you. And I think when it comes to overthinking, when it comes to the sneaky ways in which overthinking shows up for us, it's because oftentimes we're not clear about what success actually looks like, what a tick in the yes column in this specific area of our lives actually looks like. We're kind of, working on a definition that's been created by somebody or something else, a society, an entity. And because we're not quite measuring up to what that thing says, we start to overthink, we start to doubt, we start to procrastinate, we start to get stuck in that perfectionism spiral because what we're doing or how we're showing up, how we want to show up, doesn't quite meet that expectation. But I want you to ask yourself, have I actually ever defined what success in this area of my life would look like for me? That's a sneaky one. It's one that sometimes doesn't get the gravity that it needs, which is why it continues to be a block. Because success doesn't happen in the figuring it, well, no, that's not even the right way to put it. Success doesn't happen in the making plans. It happens in the action taking, right? It happens by actually going and executing on those plans. And when we're stuck in the overthinking spiral, there's no execution that's happening. There's no forward movement that's happening. And that is like quicksand, right? It starts to pull us deeper and deeper into that inaction to the point where it feels like we're never going to be capable of making progress. So this conversation is to break that, stop it in its tracks for you so that you can move forward empowered in what it is that you're capable of doing. All right, so I'm gonna teach you this framework from Brendan Burchard about defining success for yourself. There's 5 steps here. All right, step number 1 is really getting clear on what your outcome intention is. Get really clear on what your outcome intention is. And what this means is, do you know what it is that you're trying to achieve? And that sounds so basic AF, doesn't it? It sounds so basic. You're like, well, duh, I wouldn't be trying to do something if I didn't know what it was for. But do you know what it's for? Have you ever given yourself permission to dream really big? Giving yourself permission to think, what is it if this went exactly how I hope it would go, what is it that's on the other side of that? Have you ever given yourself permission to think like that? So what is your outcome intention? And I want you to take a pen and a piece of paper and write your answers to each of these 5 things that we're going to talk about. So then you've got kind of like an action plan for yourself once we're done with this conversation. Deal? So step number 1, what is your outcome intention? What do you want all the efforts to amount to? What is that thing? Get really clear about that. Number 2, what is success in terms of your goals? If you think about the goals and the aspirations, the ambitions you have for your life, what does success look like? And that again can sound like, well, duh, you just answered your own question. But have you ever thought about that? The goals that I have for my life, what would success look like on the way to achieving those goals? I heard somebody say, they put it this way. They said, if you get to the top and you're lonely, you did it wrong. If you get to the top and you're lonely, you did it wrong. So perhaps one of the things that is a block for you is that you think success means isolating. You think that success means being alone. You think that success means more money, more problems, right? You think that success means you're gonna, leave people behind. So if that's kind of what your concerns are, and one of your big core values is connection and community and love and, these things that involve other human beings, then there's an element of self-sabotage that you're already setting yourself up for, because those two things don't meet, they don't match, right? You want to be successful, but underneath you believe that success looks like isolation and a lack of connection and not having valuable relationships and maybe even ruining your health. If those things are core values of yours, then you're not going to reach for the success that you want, because you believe it comes with all these downsides. So I'm asking you, what would success look like for you on the way to achieving your goals? If you were able to question that assumption that success has to mean doing it alone, leaving people behind, ruining your health, ruining your relationships, success for you would actually look like achieving the goals that you have for your life and your ambitions without destroying your relationships, while maintaining great health. Can you see what I'm saying? So really define what success on the pathway looks like. Get clear about maybe some underlying limiting beliefs or underlying beliefs that you have about what that has to look like, and then decide, actually, I'm going to write this my way. I'm going to do this my way, in a way that makes sense for me and the things that I value most. All right, so that's number 2. Number 3, what do you want to feel like through it all? What do you want your lifestyle to be like? What do you want to feel like through it all? What do you want your lifestyle to be like? It's one of the questions I ask. I do a lot of vision kind of exercises, especially with newer clients, as we're getting clear on what they want their life to look like, big picture. And one of the big questions in that vision exercise, it's a visualization exercise we go through, is how do you want to feel? How do you want to feel? How do you want your life to feel? How do you want the process to get there to feel? What do you want your lifestyle to be like? We get stuck in overthinking, and we get stuck in procrastination and the self-doubt and the perfectionism, because we're not really thinking about, how do I want to feel? Because I bet if you were thinking about how do I want to feel, overthinking and self-doubt is not how you want to feel, right? So you wouldn't get stuck in the quicksand of those emotions if you were really on the path to carving out and living out every day how you actually want your life to feel. Do you want to feel free? Do you want to feel abundant? Do you want to feel vital? Do you want to feel vibrant, excited, creative? Because if you're clear about how it is that you want to feel, or maybe you get clear about how you really don't want to feel, maybe that's a question that lands for you better, then you know what it is that you're trying to create for yourself every single day. If you know that the feeling that you want to live in is joyful, then you're gonna get intentional about bringing more joy to your day-to-day. If you know that the feeling that you want your life to be and how you want your lifestyle to be built up is abundance, abundant energy, then you're gonna be intentional about creating the sensation and an essence of abundance every day. So question number 3, how do you wanna feel? How do you want your lifestyle to be? Journal this out, write this out for yourself. Question number 4, how do you want your relationships to be? And we talked about this in step 2, right? Like not having that assumption that success has to mean a destruction of your relationships. What do you want your relationships to be like? How do you want your relatedness with other human beings to be like? How do you want to show up? How do you want the connection and the communication between you and the people that you're around all the time to be like? Do you want empowering, positive relationships? Do you want relationships that push you and grow you? Do you want relationships that are honest and full of deep conversation? Like, what is it that you want your relationships to be like? And the reason why this question is so important, I think, is that you get then an idea of how your relationships currently are, where they don't quite match. And then we can start having more honest conversations with ourselves about boundaries that need to be set in place, the conversations that we need to have, uncomfortable or otherwise, the things that need to shift in where we're placing our energy, maybe where it's not being reciprocated, or where we're putting emphasis or more effort forward, where we realize actually maybe this isn't where my energy or my effort is best served. All right, so how do you want your relationships to be? Journal that out. And then question number 5, what does your growth intention look like? What does your growth intention look like? One of the things that I say to my clients a lot is that growth, healing, transcendence, transformation, none of these things happen by accident. You have to be incredibly intentional about what it is that you're wanting your life to be. So do you have a plan for your growth? If you're really clear about your vision, the thing that like how you want your life to look, right? Maybe it's in your career, maybe it's your entrepreneurial process, maybe it's a level of financial freedom you want to have. And we kind of reverse engineer that, understanding what skills do I need to develop? What qualifications do I need to have? What do I need to learn? What do I need to get really good at in order to create that vision? Then you have to have an action plan for the development of those skills. And again, this sounds so basic, but I hear so many women having these big ambition and hopes and dreams for their lives. They understand what needs to happen in order for them to get there, but then the in-between is kind of like this shady, messy area that they don't want to look at, because then you have to be a beginner, you have to be okay with it not being perfect, you have to be okay with messing up and figuring it out as you go, you have to be okay with failing and trying again. Like, it's a big messy middle, right? It's a big messy middle. And so many people avoid the messy middle, but you can't get from A to B without going through that mess in the middle. So have an intentional growth process dedicated to that messy middle. What skill do I need to go and develop? Okay, how much time am I going to give myself to develop this skill? How many hours in a week am I going to dedicate to this skill? When am I going to be skilled in this area by? What am I going to do on a daily basis to skill up? You have to get intentional about your growth in order for you to grow. It's not something that happens by accident. Again, so really think about that and then write yourself out an action plan, recognizing where it is that you need to develop skills, maybe qualifications, maybe practice, maybe efficiency or efficacy in certain things, skills, ways of thinking, whatever you recognize that you need, and then set an action plan around how you're going to do that and by when. This is like getting back to like the basics of goal setting, right? But it's goal setting from an intentional place that feeds into your life vision. That's what most people don't do. Most people will set goals like, I'm gonna learn Spanish this year. Okay, great. How does that relate to how you want your life to be? Does you speaking Spanish have anything to do with the vision that you have for your life? Think about that. Maybe you have a ambition, or maybe your big dream is to retire in Tuscany. Learning Spanish probably doesn't feed in to that big ambition that you have for your life vision of living in Tuscany. Maybe learning Italian would work better. Can you see what I mean? It sounds so silly, but we don't do that enough. We don't correlate the goals that we set ourselves on a yearly or monthly basis to the manifestation or bringing about the reality that we actually want to live. And that's how you set goals that are worth you showing up for, that they are related directly to how it is that you want your life to go. Every single goal that you set is a stepping stone on the way to you carving out that reality you have for yourself. All right, so growth intentions are really important. So to break this all down again, number one, what is your outcome intention? Journal on that. Number two, what is success in terms of your goals? Journal on that. Number three, how do you want to feel through it all? How do you want your lifestyle to be? Number four, how do you want your relationships to be? And then number five, what does your growth intention look like? Write all of that down, get really clear about it, because once you've got it on paper, you then have an action plan that you can put into place. And then, can you see how overthinking doesn't get to have a say? Because you're not spiraling in all the different possibilities. You've zeroed in on the specific things that are necessary for you to get where it is that you want to go. And so forward progress can happen very, very quickly and very much in a linear fashion. This is how you break overthinking for good. This is how you break out of the procrastination loop. And this is how self-doubt can kind of take its arms off of you so that you're not spiraling in overwhelm and burnout and perfectionism and all of those things. This is how you start to progress towards your goals. I would love to hear what your thoughts are about that, what your big takeaways were. Again, this is the work of Brendan Burchard, and he's just such a great thinker of our time. I really do believe that. I look up to him so much, and his work is just phenomenal. So let me know what your thoughts are about that, what your biggest takeaways were. Give this a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Consider sharing it with somebody that you think needs to hear it. And I would love it if you would subscribe to the channel. That would make me so happy. Until next time, have a wonderful, wonderful week.